We've become obsessed with logging our body metrics. We monitor our heart rates, count our steps, log calories, measure sleep patterns. Well, now some people have taken to monitoring their glucose levels or their blood sugar. Jonathan Jarry is with the McGill Office for Science and Society. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
Okay, so first off, we call it blood sugar, but what are these glucose levels in our body? And is it actually blood sugar?
So in the food that we eat, there are carbohydrates, meaning sugars and starches, these chains of varying lengths. And as these carbs go through our digestive tract, they get broken down into these smaller sugars like glucose. Right after our stomach, there's a small intestine. And these small sugars like glucose, they're allowed to go through the membrane of the small intestine and into our blood. And this spike in blood sugar is detected by our pancreas, which releases insulin, which is like a key. And this insulin will unlock the cells that make up our body. It will allow them to grab the glucose from the blood and bring it inside to be used as energy.
Jonathan, I got to say, I love those high-tech props. I really do.
I scrambled to find something I had around the house.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Okay, so these glucose levels of blood sugar, how do they fluctuate in any given day?
So I spoke to an endocrinologist at McGill who specializes in diabetes, who told me that in between meals, the concentration of glucose in the blood tends to be between 4 and 6 millimoles per liter of blood. It can also be expressed as milligrams per deciliter, but I will stick to millimoles per liter. So 4 to 6. After eating, it goes up by 2 or 3, so up to 9 or so. That's expected. That's normal biology. It can even go up to 11. This is not a Spinal Tap reference, but if it goes beyond 11, or if it remains elevated for a long period of time, that becomes diabetes, or the condition leading up to it called prediabetes.
But there are now monitors that allow people to keep track of glucose levels very easily. They're widely used by people with diabetes, right?
Yeah, so they're called continuous glucose monitors, or CGMs. It's a small disc that is pushed onto the back of the arm. It sticks to it. It monitors how much glucose there is in the liquid just underneath the skin, which is a good proxy for how much glucose is in the blood. And it will relay the data to a special app on your phone or to a dedicated device that is made by the same company. And you do have to change this disc roughly twice a month.
Now, though, there are influencers saying we should all be wearing them. Is there any benefit to that?
So there are definitely people who will benefit from CGMs, first and foremost being people with a diagnosis of either diabetes or prediabetes, but also, as the endocrinologist was telling me, people with a family history of diabetes. During pregnancy, if you're at risk for gestational diabetes, people who have had many episodes of low blood sugar and they don't know why, and people who use certain medications that can raise blood sugar levels, like steroids and some psychiatric drugs. Beyond that, it is difficult to justify scientifically, although there is a whole ecosystem online of people recommending these things to folks who don't have diabetes. And I'm thinking, for instance, of Dr. Casey Means, who has been nominated to be the next Surgeon General in the US. There's money to be made there, but scientifically, it's really hard to see why this would be needed.
So for people who have no problems with diabetes at all, is there any harm, though, to wearing one of these things?
In people without diabetes, CGMs have been shown to overestimate blood sugar levels, and the results they give, they're very variable. I also worry about medicalizing normal biology and getting certain people to obsess over their sugar levels when they don't need to, because that can lead to an eating disorder. And finally, there's the cost. It's around $100 every 2 weeks because the sensor is disposable. And that cost is unlikely to be covered by insurance if you don't have a medical diagnosis.
So what should people be doing, Jonathan, if they are concerned about their diet and blood sugar?
There are qualified experts on this topic. I'm not an expert on this, but people should look for a family doctor, good luck in Quebec, an endocrinologist, a registered dietitian, which is an evidence-based profession on the subject of nutrition, or a certified diabetes educator. But please don't get your blood sugar tracking advice from influencers online.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.